Hello, Gino here, and you are listening to Otherworld Connections. We live in a critical time where now, more than ever, angels and fairies, hidden forces, are bursting at the seams of the veil to work with us. They want to see us change in order to save the world and live in service to others. So join me on a journey to empowerment and enlightenment with an angelic angle and a fairy focus, looking into ways to improve our current situation, morality, archetypes, solutions for self-healing, and spiritual sciences in light of theosophy and other occult traditions. Yeah, hello, how's it going? Welcome back to Otherworld Connections. And today we are going to talk about birds. And we're going to talk about Feng Shui. And the connection between birds and Feng Shui. Birds as a gateway to enlightening yourself, to finding your way. Looking externally for the internal work. That kind of thing, so let's get into it. So I'm going to read out of some books. This book is called The Hidden Meaning of Birds, a Spiritual Field Guide by Arin Murphy-Hiscock. It's also his book. Oh, terrible. Okay, here we go. Birds soar above us, serving as a link between our earthbound lives and the glorious mystery of the beyond. They inspire us to look up, to reach out, to yearn for more. As we look beyond the day-to-day, we strive to accomplish more and to better ourselves in ways we may not otherwise have considered. But birds do more than just speak to our souls. They are creatures of the air, the element that Western culture usually associates with the mind, and thus the powers of thought, wisdom, knowledge, and intuition. It's no wonder, then, that for centuries, humans from cultures around the world such as Mesopotamia, Sumer, ancient Egypt, China, Japan, Celtic nations, and more, have subconsciously or otherwise felt drawn to birds and viewed them as messengers or representatives of some kind of mystical communication. So, a strategy to open up that gateway from this book could be to let a guide come to you. Sometimes you need a guide to address issues that you aren't consciously aware of. If you are open to the idea of working with a bird that chooses you instead, that bird will be the right one for you at this moment in time. Use the following meditation to call a guide to you. Find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. You may wish to prepare the area by burning a purifying incense such as sandalwood, frankincense, or cedar. If you are familiar with smudging, the practice of cleansing the energy of an area with sage smoke, then you may choose to do this. You may wish to play quiet music or a recording of bird song or nature sounds. Keep the volume low. Sit down and close your eyes. Make sure your clothing is unrestrictive and you are sitting comfortably. Take a few deep breaths, exhaling softly after each one. Feel your muscles release any tension they may be holding, starting at your feet and moving up through your body. Clear your mind. Your goal is to be in a relaxed state, undistracted by your surroundings. When you feel ready, envision a landscape in your mind's eye. Here it is again. It may be a meadow, a forest, a beach, or a cliff. Just allow a landscape to form in your mind's eye. Don't consciously direct it, allow it to form on its own. Okay, so no Pepsi here. Allow a request to form in your heart. Reach out for a bird to come to you. A bird whose energies will support yours and bring you the strength and energies you need in your life right now. Speak aloud, if you desire, or imagine yourself speaking in this landscape. Wait for a response. You may hear a particular song or call, or you may see a bird as it joins you in the visualized landscape. Don't be disappointed if nothing appears immediately. Repeat your wordless appeal for a guide, or your spoken invitation for a guide to join you. If a bird does not appear, end your meditation journey and try again another day. Over the next few days, be on the alert. A bird may appear to you in some form in daily life, so watch for feathered messengers crossing your path, or for birds appearing in films or books. If a bird does appear in your meditation, welcome it. Absorb what details you can about the bird that has replied to your appeal. You may be able to identify the bird right away, or you may not recognize it at all. Take a good look at its size, shape, and the color of its plumage, and listen to its call. If it flies, note the silhouette it makes against the sky. This might help you identify it later. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't hold still long enough for you to get a really close look at it. The bird will be welcoming and willing to be with you, or it wouldn't have appeared. Talk to it, thank it for coming and for agreeing to work with you, until it judges that you no longer need its support. The bird may communicate with you in some fashion. It may speak to you. It may communicate silently mind to mind, or you may receive impressions of ideas or emotions from it. Be open to receiving any and all communication from the bird. Don't expect a certain message based on what type of bird it is, or limit yourself by listening for something specific. Clear your mind and be open to the bird's love and energy. Know, too, that the bird's message may be positive or negative, and don't judge the bird based on the content of its message. When you feel ready, or when the bird decides the session is over, thank the bird again for agreeing to work with you and bid it farewell for now. Allow the landscape and environment that you have visualized to fade away and gradually become aware of your body again. Slowly take deep breaths to reawaken your physical self and wiggle your fingers and toes gently. Follow this by carefully moving your arms and legs. Write about your experience in either a daily journal or meditation journal if you already keep one, or start a journal devoted to working with birds. Make an initial record of what you instinctively feel the bird represents to you. Then look up its traditional associations to learn as much as you can from your own observations, feelings, and the available existing lore concerning the bird in question. Right. Now, the reason I read that and I find this part interesting is that there's a bit of an echo of what we've been covering in the other episodes, and it's what we do here, what we get into, finding your path, goal setting. So there was a visualization technique in this, and working with the external, so looking at birds. And what else? There was another thing that popped up. It escapes me. And I would say that the interesting thing is that for the show is that I don't think that you have to get out the incense and do all that. I really don't. You don't have to try too hard, but it's about understanding that birds are special. And being around birds is special. And I believe the hack here, if you're not so sure about all the pomp and circumstance in this particular ritual, which is totally fair enough, is you can just work on attracting birds. So let's have a look at the book Attracting Birds by Olwen Woodier from 1981. I'm going to read the intro because I thought it's very nice. When I moved with my husband to upstate New York several years ago, I brought along a lifetime interest in bird identification. It was not long before our 1.5-acre plot, adjoining a small swamp area, meadow and woods, became the focus of serious backyard bird watching. Our property is particularly attractive to bird life, with well-established ash, dogwood, hickory, juniper, magnolia, maple, oak, spruce, sumac, and many other berry-bearing and nut-bearing trees with shrubs. To these we have added annual and perennial flowers and herbs. The lawn is a compact mass of chickweed, crabgrass, dandelion, dock, plantain, sorrel, wild strawberry, vetch, and villei. I would love a lawn with all of that. And Julia is working on that. It is going to be great. The edges of the woodland and hedgerows are crowded with clover, goldenrod, jewelweed, milkweed, mullein, phlox, and many other wild flowers. It is indeed a garden plentiful with natural food for birds in summer and fall. To enhance nature's bounty, we have supplied a small pond, bird baths, well-stocked feeders, and nesting boxes. When we are privileged to witness the birds' territorial claims, courtship, nesting, and parenting habits, we feel all our kind and conscientious efforts are worthwhile. Yet there is a giant bonus in cultivating the friendship of birds. What is not always obvious in the beginning is soon apparent after a summer or two. The birds provide a most effective ecological control of insects, weeds, and small rodents in the gardens and orchards. In the spring, with young in the nest, meat-eating birds feed voraciously on the insect and grub population. During late summer and autumn, there are many seed-eaters that do a handsome job of cleaning up the weeds. The result is a naturally healthy garden. Birds can be attracted to your home if you offer food, water, and shelter. Trees and shrubs that yield fruit, berries, seeds, nuts, and cones will provide food. Tangles of wild plants and dense undergrowth left to thrive in chosen areas of your property, log piles, dead trees, and stacked branches will provide shelter, protection, and natural nesting and roosting sites. Nesting boxes can be secured to trees and posts to attract bluebirds, purple martins, wrens, downy woodpeckers, flickers, robins, and other species. Bird baths or pools can be built to supply water and feeders strategically placed around the yard. Will furnish supplementary foods for the birds when natural sources diminish. Such pockets of refuge can be created on as little as a 1/4-acre plot, and costs for a bird haven can be kept to a minimum. So that's a way to connect with the birds. It's just make things bird friendly. I put these shade sails up in our outside our house, connecting the carport and the garage. And they're not super effective as really as shade or shelter, but the tui birds love them. So when the tuis come, they fly from one tree on one side of the property to the other tree, and they do a kind of an air show, weaving in and out of the shade sails, which is pretty cool. So keeping the birds in mind is all you really need to do. Be considerate of the birds. It might be easier done than said here in New Zealand, because it's just literally bird land. There's just so many birds. It's unbelievable. Right, let's have a look at the language of the birds. Read a little bit from The Language of the Birds, Our Angelic Connection by William Henry from 2001. Why is it called the language of the birds? It is likely because the Latin ave, or bird, is phonetically the same as ave, angel, 18, ava, apple, which is a symbol of forbidden knowledge, and over, life. And yeah, that's what they mean by language of the birds. I think the word is onomatopoeia, a little bit. Through these links, we might develop a picture of the language of the birds as the language of angels, of forbidden knowledge, and of life. Indeed, all are characterizations of this language because it uses phonetic resonance. The language of the birds is called a phonetic Kabbalah, a phonetic language code. This code equates words that sound alike in different languages, connecting word concepts by sound in English. These language connections reveal astonishing literary and historical synchronicities, or meaningful coincidences that point to the interconnectedness of all creation. Nature is connected. It is the logical mind of humankind that separates. By learning this language, we become more fully reconnected and resonant with the matrix of Earth life. We learn to work with nature's forces and to explore the relationships between all the wonders of her creation. With this language, promise mystics, we can heal our world and ourselves, transforming it from wasteland into a garden or a paradise. When in tune or resonating with nature, we bring magic into our lives and an effortless flow of synchronicity. And I just want to jump in and say that being considerate of the birds, those other living things that live just a little bit above us, is kind of a brain training for, putting our attention to something higher, right? And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Right, let's have a look at this book still. Keys to the Language of the Birds. It is time now to assemble the key to using the language of the birds to decode mythic stories, which is something we do here in Otherworld Connections. The first key to the language of the birds is that this code equates words that sound alike in different languages, connecting word concepts by sound in English. How did English come to be the language of the birds? The answer is the language in which these words have meaning to the mythologist is not exactly English either. In the language of the birds, or bards, English becomes Longish or Longelish, the language of the angels. There are two reasons why we can derive Anglish from English. In the secret language of symbolism, Harold Bailey, who, like Godfrey Higgins, sought the original symbol system of the ancients, says, "Modern language is a mosaic in which lie embedded the chips and fossils of predecessors. To uncover these chips and fossils, Delubiche demands a constant state of consciousness of the laws of Genesis. This state of consciousness," he says, "will put us in sympathetic vibration or relationship with everything that shares an object's name or vibration. A word or name means the same thing wherever it appears. Why? Because that's the way it is on the other side of the bridge of Sira. It is widely agreed by etymologists that language is fossil poetry, and that the creation of every word was originally a poem embodying a bold metaphor or a bright conception of something real. Empires may disappear and nations may sink into myth under cataclysmic waves of nature and invasion," says Bailey. "But place names and proper names, typically preserved by word of mouth, remain to some extent inviolate. Words are sounds, tones, frequency, energy that shape our world. As energy, words are like a heartbeat. They pulsate or ring. This pulsation creates form and ultimately waves that travel away from our mouths. If we join their rhythm, they will bring new life to us. They will act like passwords, the open sesame that open new doors for us. This explains why they can mean the same thing from age to age, eon to eon, and why recovering this language system would be invaluable. According to biographer Michel Lamy, Jules Verne wrote numerous stories in the language of the birds in order to deliberately conceal and thereby preserve mystic secrets. We must have a look into that at some point. The most critical secrets in Verne's works, said Lamy, are to be found in the names of places and characters which the mastermind Verne realized would survive translation into different languages and would be invisible to non-initiates, but clearly evident to the initiated. It is widely agreed by etymologists that language is fossil poetry, and that the creation of every word was originally a poem embodying a bold metaphor or a bright conception of something real. Metaphor combines the two Greek words, meta, which means over and above, and pherein, to bear across. Metaphors have multiple levels of meaning that are perceived simultaneously. Their meanings transcend or cross over time and cultures. Studying their accumulated meanings takes us to the original event or object symbolized by the metaphor. We can begin to identify the true subject of a myth or metaphor by paying close attention to the subtle interconnectedness of the definitions of the myriad of proper names and place names contained within them in English. There we go. So we just ended up in etymology and language from talking about birds and their angelic connection. Again, I really think that being considerate of birds in your day-to-day is stretching out that part of the brain that picks up on, the symbology or the allegory of words and the symbology and allegory of story. Again, and that's my story. I'm sticking with it. and it's an Otherworld connection. Okay. And coming down to the bottom of the hour, this is Gino from Otherworld Connections. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution.radio, the #1 listener-supported radio station in the world. So please help support our efforts and airtime by visiting the station's donations section on our website, Revolution.radio. Okay, moving right along. We're going to look at Feng Shui, or Vaastu. Let's have a look at the book, and this is something we can do as part of the hive mind segment, something we can do and pay attention to and work on collectively. Let's have a look at the book, Benefits of Vaastu and Feng Shui, by Rajendar Menen. Okay, so from the chapter Landscaping and the Elements. Feng Shui is the study of the built environment. While it does look at the larger environment surrounding the structure, there are no hard and fast rules about the landscaping. Feng Shui is primarily focused on the qi within a structure, as that is what has the most direct effect on the people. When it comes to the outside environment, the main point of concern is that the landscaping should be beautiful and in balance with the rest of the environment. Living in a beautiful environment is much more supportive than living in an environment that is an eyesore. You can tell the qi of a neighborhood or area by how green and glossy the trees and plants are. Some general rules. Pathways should flow like a meandering stream and not a straight road. Trees are most welcome, but they should not be placed in a direct line with any entrances, especially the main entrance. Try to keep a balance of yin and yang, dark and light, when thinking of the trees. Avoid trees that will completely block the light. Too much of anything is not good. Again, balance is the key. Shrubbery is okay as long as it is kept neat and prevented from overgrowing. Trees and shrubbery can be used to block harsh qi, such as strong winds. Grass does not pose any problems. Strive for beauty. Flowers and other colorful plants can be used as long as they fit within the environment. And follow the rules of the 5 elements. Wood produces fire, fire produces earth, earth produces metal, metal produces water, and water produces wood. Wood is green, fire is red. Earth is yellow. Metal is white. And water is blue. Avoid using them in a destructive combination, such that wood uproots earth, earth blocks water, water douses fire, fire melts metal, and metal chops wood. Consider the direction the building sits. For example, if the building faces the north and sits to the south, then this is a Li building. Li is the fire trigram. This house would be supported by a lot of red flowers, but would not benefit from blue or black colors. A house that sits to the west and faces east is a Tui structure. Tui is a soft metal trigram, and would benefit from white and gold flowers. Reds and purples should be avoided. This can also apply to the color of the house trim as well. These are all general rules, and while their effect can be minimal on the house itself, following the rules of balance can support the house and its occupants. The 2 items that need to be looked at carefully are rocks and water, since they are both part of the 5 elements and are used to remedy certain situations. In the greater environment, they need to be placed very carefully. Water in the west is not good, while in the southwest and east it can assist prosperity. These directions should not be in front or behind the house or building. If they are, it takes a qualified practitioner to determine if the water will have a positive or negative effect. If you are striving for the effect of the water element, then it is better not to use an earthen container, such as a fountain made of rocks, since earth blocks water in the cycle of the elements. Metallic containers work well as metal strengthens water. Often, metal troughs have effectively been used with beautiful plants and flowers planted around it to blend with the environment. Ponds and pools can be used under the guidance of a trained Feng Shui practitioner. The same can be said of rocks, especially large decorative rocks, because these are used in certain situations to correct specific problems. They need to be placed under the guidance of a Feng Shui practitioner. Placed haphazardly, they could have an adverse effect on the prosperity of the building. This guy loves promoting his services, right? I don't think you need a qualified Feng Shui practitioner to do these things, because it's an oxymoron, because you already live in a house, right? And it's already painted a certain color. So what? So you want to start playing around with it and change it. That's called interior decorating. You want to do it outside, it's called landscaping. But knowing some of these things, you can play around with, because it's that higher order thinking, considering the effect of the environment, right? No, you do not need a qualified Feng Shui practitioner. And also, who qualifies you? This guy? Well, he obviously knows a lot of stuff, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? All right. Feng Shui folklore states that a building should have a mountain behind it to support it. By using rocks and earth, you can create this mountain. While this sounds good, it is not true in every case. Each building is unique and needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. To summarize, plants and other wood elements are fine anywhere as long as they do not block the chi of the building and are used in balance. Colors can be used to assist the home as long as they fall within the rules of the 5 elements. Water and rocks need to be placed under the advice of a trained practitioner to avoid adversely affecting the occupants or their prosperity. When placed correctly, the goal of Feng Shui is to create a comfortable and beautiful environment. Strive for this when landscaping too, but again, ask a qualified, oh my goodness, it goes on and on about this, to unravel a qualified practitioner to unravel the complexities. And of course, do what you also instinctively feel is right. But my instincts are better than yours. All right, Feng Shui in the garden. Now this is what we're talking about here. Use the principles of Feng Shui to create an ideal garden. The garden should have the right balance of energies where one can be active and relaxed at the same time. What is essential is to achieve a natural landscape. The higher Dragon Hills should be on the left of the house, with the lower Tiger Hills on the right, says Wendy Hobson. A rounded hill, building or trees behind will add the support of the turtle, while a spacious area at the front, leading to the footstool of the phoenix, completes the picture. Ideally, the land behind the house should be higher than that at the front. If landscape features or buildings are not already in place, think about adding trees at the back or to the left of your house, with smaller shrubs to the right and an open area at the front. Do not make the mistake of planting too close to the house and overwhelming the property with shade. Make sure you don't block off all the natural sunlight coming into the house, as it is the most vital energy. Dragons never live in completely flat land, so a garden with ups and downs is more beneficial from a point of view of the luck which the plot can bring into your life. In addition, it will also help create an auspicious circulation of chi, making sure that it does not rush across the garden without the chance to meander, settle, and accumulate. Even if the plot is quite small, you can still artificially create small hills and hollows to encourage the smooth flow of chi. Small hillocks, rockeries, and so on will aid the circulation of chi. These will also provide the garden with an exquisite look. If the garden is very steep, chi will move downhill. Terraces in the garden will retard the downhill flow of chi. Fencing and shrubs can be used to deflect negative energies from outside. Use trailing plants to soften any harsh edges on the property. The garden is no different from the rooms of the house. Use the same principles for proper energy flow. Rounded, flowing shapes are good feng shui. Sharp angles, large, flat expanses, corners, and swift changes of direction are not as auspicious. Tiny corners or pockets where the chi can stagnate will also cause you to lose the benefit of the energies in the garden. Make sure you encourage the chi to drift slowly but surely around the garden. The heights of various trees and shrubs will make a big difference to the chi flow around the garden. Taller trees or shrubs will act as more effective barriers, while lower growing ground cover will have less of an effect. Trailing plants soften the edges and create a beneficial effect. Curved pathways with bricks or stones add flavor to the garden and also help the flow of chi. A curved path on the eastern side of the house will activate the dragon and bring good luck. Surround the path with flowering plants for added energies. Healthy growing plants live off yang energy, while anything in the garden that is dead will give off yin energy. Tend the garden regularly and keep it tidy and healthy. Plants with sharper leaves and lighter foliage have more yang energy, while plants with surrounded leaves have more yin. Yin plants will also prefer shaded or damper areas, while the yang plants will prefer the bright areas. Mix foliage, colors and textures, shapes and heights for the best effects. Attempt a garden with the right balance of light and shade. It should look attractive, creative and interesting, with personality, balance, and the right positive energy in continuous flow. Flowering plants bring powerful energy to the garden. They look good, provide adornment to the garden akin to pieces of jewelry, can be planted throughout the year, and can be used to stimulate particular areas which need increased energy levels. According to Feng Shui practitioners, red flowers in the southern zone will stimulate passionate energies and encourage your social life. If you are looking for a smoother career path, blue flowers in the northern sector will help, but enliven and strengthen it with white as well. White flowers in the west will help realize one's dreams. Fragrant flowers have wonderful emotional effects and can be very healing to personal chi. Plant them near the door of the house and make the most of their healing fragrances. They also look good and lend the garden color and beauty. Herbs can also add fragrance, color, and a variety of leaf shapes to the garden. They are also useful in the kitchen and can be used for their medicinal properties. Feng Shui also uses herbal aromas in the house. They are very relaxing and therapeutic. Basil is said to promote individuality and good fortune in personal ventures. Plant it in the northern area of the garden to encourage strength in your career. Bergamot is an appetite suppressant, and lifts the spirits. Plant it in the southern area to improve your standing among friends. Plant chamomile in the west or southwest for good family relationships. A vase of freshly picked chamomile in the east will help calm those with nervous problems. Chamomile tea is also soothing. Dill is said to promote sleep. The northern zone is a good position for this plant. Eucalyptus clears the head, either from head colds or muddled thinking. Plant it in the northeast to promote general clarity of thought and mental awareness. Jasmine can lift the spirits of those who are depressed and can also encourage good marital relations. Plant it in the sector of the garden that needs stimulation. The east to help the health of the family, the southwest to improve family relationships, and the southeast to encourage financial luck. Juniper in bedroom windows ensures marital happiness. Lavender has many benefits. It makes a wonderful relaxant and aid to restful sleep and can be used to help heal burns and soothe sunburn or irritated skin. It will benefit any area of the garden. Mint promotes good memory and is refreshing. A good place to plant mint is the northeastern part of the garden to help in your search for knowledge or enlightenment. You know what's funny? We do have mint planted in the northeastern part of the garden. We actually do. What a coinky dink. As an aside, I do believe that people in the southern hemisphere follow a different direction for these things. They invert the rules for the north, south, east, and west. So yeah, I don't really know about that, to be honest. All right. Thyme should be planted in the southeastern corner to promote wealth, or in the north to encourage a good career. In the home, it can be used to lift depression. Rosemary is said to improve the memory. Plant it in the southwest to encourage remembrance between old friends. Ponds, waterfalls, streams, fountains, and bird baths add character, variety, and energy to the garden. The best compass sectors for water features are the north, southeast, and east sectors, as these are related to water and wood. It is essential that the water remains clear and preferably flowing, as this will bring good luck. Stagnant to dirty water, as we have repeatedly mentioned, is not good feng shui. If you are building a pond, choose a curved shape which relates to natural shapes and fits in with the general meandering nature of the garden. Kidney or crescent shapes, especially if they are curving towards the house, are very suspicious or auspicious. If the shape curves away from the house, add some garden lights on the farthest points to redirect the energies back towards the house. Don't be tempted to make the pond too large for the proportions of your garden. You could then feel swamped by the water qualities you have created. If the pond is too large, increase the light around it and add a rock garden or some boulders around it to rebalance the space. Keep some fish in the pond, especially goldfish, choosing an odd number. Replace them if they die, as they will have absorbed your bad luck. Toads are also good luck, so they should be encouraged to live in your pond. Swimming pools in residences are not good feng shui because they create large water bodies disproportionate to the size of the house. They can have the effect of overwhelming the house. Locate the pool in the north or in the lowest parts of the plot. Try to screen it from the house with trees or shrubs to diminish any adverse effects. Always keep larger trees and shrubs well pruned. Plants that are brown or dying will give off excessive yin energy and create an imbalance in the energies. Garden lighting, apart from energizing stagnant areas of the garden, will add to your good luck, especially if they are placed around the boundaries of the plot. A light in the southern corner of the garden, which is switched on for a few hours each day, will bring good luck to the family by stimulating the fire zone. For stable and loving marital relationships, place a light in the southwest sector. For romance, select west. If you have decorative statues, garden furniture, or urns to landscape your garden, think about the element from which they are made before placing them in an appropriate zone of the garden. Ceramic urns or pots of plants will bring you the best luck if they are placed in the earth sectors, southwest or northeast, or in the metal sectors, west or northwest. Wooden garden furniture will be best positioned in the east, southwest, or south. Metal objects will be best in the west, northwest, or north. Boulders add stability to life. Place them in the earth sectors, southwest or northeast, for strength of purpose. Place them in the west or northwest. If there are barbecues sitting in the garden, they should stimulate the fire element and should be placed in the south, southwest, or northeast. All right, the point of all this, let's just take something here at the end. Boulders add stability to life. So, say you are, paying mind to the birds. You've got a garden, and you're considering the birds, right? Maybe you put a bird bath, a bird feeder. Those are two real easy things to do and fun things to do, right? And say you discover your bird. Say it's a magpie. And you see a magpie on a boulder. So you have a boulder on your house, you see a magpie on a boulder. Well, boulders, according to this book, add stability to life. So they symbolize, at least, stability. In the magpie resonates with that a little bit as well because of the even colors of black and white. So there's a little message of something like integration or what have you. So that's just a little window into, basically the law of vibration. Everything is connected, and you can play around with that. This became a sort of feng shui heavy show, but it's just to highlight placement of things in your environment are important, and considering your environment is important, and considering the birds is a novel way to achieve your goals or to figure out what you want to do and where you want to go. So let's do a little recap and add to things. So yes, the hidden meaning of birds, well, that's symbology, right? And that can cross over to basically animal spirit guides and synchronicities you can get from animals by acknowledging the law of vibration, acknowledging that we are spiritual beings and that everything is connected. And other than birds in the environment, it could be other animals that come in to your environment, right? And looking at the symbolism there and letting them guide you. And one thing you can do is focus exclusively on the birds and find your particular bird that wants to help you. And you can attract birds as a practice to higher order thinking. And we moved into the language of the birds, and I will say I've got a couple of minutes, so I will mention I learnt about language of the birds from the What on Earth is Happening podcast from Mark Passio's work, and he focused on, I'll just give you one or two examples from him which I found very interesting, and that's how I looked into language of the birds. And his explanation of it is more simple, that it's when a name is created for something, that essentially the creator encodes the true meaning of what that, the true definition of what that word represents. And in Mark Passio's podcast, which is, about highlighting, that order followers are really causing the problems in the world, he mentioned police and broke it down as pole ice, being POL, the polarities, and ice being frozen, and that a policeman's polarities are frozen. Which polarities? Well, the left and the right brain. Because of order following. Well, policemen just have to do their job. They're told to go and do something, and sometimes they might get to be a hero, but oftentimes they might be doing things that they don't agree with. And that arrests the polarities of the mind. You then become essentially a robot because you're not using your free will to take action in the world. You are doing what someone else told you to do without reason. Same with the military. My light awry in the word. So his take on it is slightly different to what we discovered in this language of the birds, but nevertheless it's about finding meaning in language. Deeper meaning, allegory, symbolism, it's everywhere. Everything can be peeled back layer by layer to reveal more information. So military, my light awry. The person in the military's light, consciousness, right, has gone awry because, well, they have to follow orders too. And, maybe the war that they go and fight in is a just war. But the point is that they are there to follow orders. Okay. So that's just a little extra take on that there. And then we moved into some quite heavy talk about Feng Shui. So recognizing the environment affects things. And you can then go deep if you want into symbolism of everything. So consider birds and make arrangements and efforts for them in your environment to connect with the angels and receive synchronicities. To be more aware of the connectedness of life and develop your connection with the true meaning of words and language, so you can use language to your advantage and create positive change and achieve goals. And all of that can stem from the simple act of putting out a bird bath for the little birdies in the garden. And I made one and I glued a plate onto I just had all this junk, so I glued a plate to a bed leg and I stuck it in the garden. You know what? The glue hadn't even set and there was about 20 birds on it and they broke it. So, I don't know. There's something to be said in helping the birds. Thanks so much for listening. And we'll see you at the next one. And take care, everyone. See ya.